With you guys today, DIJONAI Carrington. After clotheslining Sophie Cunningham, running into the locker room, screaming, "That's white privilege!" Then tweeting 8/23, threatening Sophie Cunningham and the Indiana Fever, DIJONAI Carrington now comes out and clarifies what she means when she says white privilege for the Indiana.
2 minutes left in the first quarter. DIJONAI Carrington just slapped the dog shit out of Sophie Cunningham. Sophie pops up. She's obviously upset. DIJONAI says, "Try me." And then look at Stephanie White. Look at her face. Look. She's mad as shit. Now, number one, this is obviously a flagrant 2. It just is. By the letter of the law, you got to call a flagrant 2.
That girl needs to be thrown out the league. She's not even a good enough player to be bringing this type of drama. She needs to be thrown out.
DIJONAI Carrington got ejected from a game, and instead of just letting it go, she decided the internet needed a lesson. Not an apology, not an explanation, just 2 words dropped straight from the locker room: white privilege. And now, days later, she's still out here defending that post, backtracking, clarifying, and arguing with basically anyone who dares to push back on it. This one has turned into a full-blown mess. And honestly, it might be one of the strangest reactions we've seen from a WNBA player all season.
Cunningham, otherwise known as MAGA Barbie in the WNBA, is a superstar player. She's one of the most famous female athletes in the world because she stood up for women in women's sports, saying only biological women should be allowed to play in the WNBA. And for that, she is literally risking her life. Check this out. This is what happened to Sophie Cunningham last night when she was clotheslined by a filthy, dirty player for Chicago who has a name that I can't pronounce, or maybe I just refuse to do that. That's my right as an American. But this is a player that has attacked Caitlin Clark, gouged her eye out, that has now bloodied the face of Sophie Cunningham, and as soon as she did this, she tweeted white privilege, meaning she's declaring this is a race crime. Now, if a white woman was doing this to black women, it'd be the #1 story in the world, she'd be banned from the league forever. But somehow black women are allowed to get away with this against white women. And it's white women in the league who make themselves a target by simply standing up for traditional values. And
Sophie Cunningham has spent this entire season being one of the more outspoken defenders of her Fever teammate Caitlin Clark, going on record multiple times, saying the league and the officials do not do enough to protect Clark from the physical treatment she gets every single night. She's called out specific plays, specific players, and even said flat out that some teams have talked in their own locker rooms about wanting to show Clark what the W really is. That kind of talk does not exactly make you popular around the league, and Cunningham has never really hidden the fact that she knows it.
Goo! That's assault, brother. You can't do that. What the fuck? Is this just the default if you can't think? Or if you just like don't want to take accountability for your actions? Oh my god, this league, bro, this league. Bro, white privilege while you're wearing a bleach blonde dyed wig. I mean, the fuck? What is privileged about that? You Stone Cold Steve Austin clotheslined her ass. What about that is white privilege? The WNBA stays undefeated. It truly does. They can't get out of their own way.
The history matters here because it helps explain why so many people watched this specific foul and immediately assumed there was something more going on than just a hard basketball play. Cunningham has already positioned herself as one of the players willing to speak up about how Clark gets treated on the floor. And now, she's the one on the receiving end of a forearm to the face that drew blood. Whether Carrington intended any of that subtext or not, the optics of the entire situation practically wrote themselves the second the ejection happened.
Beyond concerning at this point how far from the plot we have actually gotten. And when I say the plot, I mean the basketball. How far from the game of basketball we have spiraled. When we're talking about the WNBA, you know, we used to joke, it's like, oh, 0 days without drama in the WNBA. This league is living up to it at a rate and a level of concern that we haven't ever had. With all
that's going on in the WNBA, DIJONAI Carrington tweeted out white privilege from the locker room of a game that she was playing in. Get this, she fouled Sophie Cunningham hard. Sophie Cunningham, obviously a white person, fouls her hard. Flagrant 2, gets ejected, goes to the locker room and tweets out white privilege in the middle of the game. Now here's the kicker to me. A flagrant 2 has to be contact that can lead to an injury that looks excessive. DiJONai, it was about as excessive as possible. If there was any evidence of there being white privilege, this was not it. What the hell do y'all?
And it's not just Cunningham who's noticed the tension. Legendary broadcaster Dick Vitale weighed in earlier this year when Clark was voted only the 9th best guard in a Leaguewood player poll, calling the result absolutely pure jealousy, and predicting that players around the league would eventually realize just how much Clark has done for all of them financially. That comment aged in a strange way once this Carrington situation broke, because here you have another moment where a player closely tied to Clark and Cunningham takes real physical punishment, and instead of widespread sympathy from around the league, you get a former teammate publicly celebrating it, and a head coach softly defending the aggressor. It's hard to watch that pattern repeat itself and not wonder if Vitale was onto something.
Across the face, coming down, trying to prevent the layup, but that is just a hard hit. That's definitely going to be upgraded, I think, to a flagrant 2, Ryan.
I think that is going to be a flagrant 2. There is
Get what you fucking deserve.
And just getting her out of the
Lucky
way.
it wasn't a right hook.
Make no mistake about it, Carrington targeted Cunningham. She targeted her because of her political stances. She targeted Cunningham because of the praises that she keeps receiving. She targeted her with a dirty shot that had absolutely nothing to do with basketball. And then after getting ejected, she runs to the locker room to play the fucking victim card. Like she didn't try to just take off Cunningham's head in 4K. Like we all didn't just watch it happen. That is not competition. That is a grown woman swinging on someone who she disagrees with and then screaming racism when she gets held accountable for it. DiJONai Carrington needs to be held responsible, and I'm not talking about just getting ejected from the game. She deserves a suspension. Maybe she'll think twice next time before she tries to take somebody's fucking head off.
Here's what actually happened on the court, because the play itself is not complicated at all once you actually watch it. Sophie Cunningham was flying down the floor in a fast break, wide open, going up for what should have been an easy layup. DJ Carrington came from behind, chasing the play, and instead of contesting the shot, she caught Cunningham with a forearm straight across the face and neck. Cunningham hit the floor hard. The ball somehow still went in, but nobody was talking about the bucket after that. Officials stopped play, went to the monitor, and upgraded the call to a flagrant 2, which under WNBA rules means an automatic ejection. No debate needed there. Wind-up, impact, follow-through, high risk of injury, player in a vulnerable position. That's the checklist for a flagrant 2, and this play checked every single box.
The way Sophie Cunningham came down on her leg, she could have been injured. So they said, yo, get out of here, dog. Get out of here. Then, I don't know if y'all were looking at her lips. She was talking about, try me. Try me. Yo, you already tried Sophie? You got all the samples of Sophie. You talking about try me. What are you talking about? This lady is unhinged right now, man. This is crazy work. And it makes you wonder. It's like, dog, you were the best player for the Sky at this moment. Look how she landed on the leg. Oh, my goodness. Like, you were the best player for the Sky. And you decided to do this? You weren't even thinking about the game. You was thinking about some kind of revenge or something. Somebody sent you on a mission. You were on a mission, dog. I don't know what you had going on here, but DiJONai, this is unacceptable. Disrespectful, disgusting, and I'm glad they got you up out of there. All right.
Cunningham got up immediately, and you could see the anger all over her face. She got right up in Carrington's space before teammates and officials pulled the two of them apart. And here's something worth pointing out, because it says a lot about how this league treats reactions differently depending on who's doing the reacting. The officiating crew chief actually said post-game that Cunningham was not penalized for her response because the reaction was deemed acceptable, given the severity of the contact she just took to the face. So even the referees in the moment basically confirmed with their own words that what happened to her was serious enough to justify her getting heated about it.
Photo from the flagrant 2 on DiJONai Carrington against Sophie Cunningham, where she proceeded to go into the locker room and tweet white privilege after being thrown out of the game. I'm not going to comment on that situation, but I will say this. This is a flagrant 2. Black, white, Asian, Hispanic, don't matter. This is a flagrant. I mean, she clotheslined her. What more do you want? So this looks very bad. It just shows that the WNBA is nowhere near where they need to be professionally, because again, this is a clothesline. It's a flagrant 2.
That's the part that makes everything Carrington said afterwards so confusing. If the officials themselves are saying the contact was excessive and unnecessary, and if they're saying Cunningham's reaction to getting hit in the face was completely understandable, then where exactly does race enter this conversation at all? Nobody upgraded that foul because of who threw it or who received it. They upgraded it because a player got hit across the head and neck while going up for a shot. And that is a rule that applies to every single player in that league, regardless of who they are.
Mention the fact that she said white privilege. That is the story. The story isn't that she got kicked out. It's that she tweeted out white privilege as though because Sophie Cunningham is white, somehow that's why she got kicked out. They go on to defend her, the story, the narrative that she's not a dirty player. She makes plays like this all the time. I put together a little clip of DJ Carrington, who is definitely one of the dirtiest players in the WNBA. I don't know if we can roll it, but she's taken her long fingernails. She's scratched Caitlin Clark's eyes out. She's had multiple instances of chasing people down from behind, trying the same SWAT and smashing them in the head and causing mini fights. She pulled another girl's hair. I don't know if we'll get to that clip in a second when she's falling. Totally dirty play. This is not a skin color thing. She has a history of making dirty plays, and it's fine. The NBA, you can be a rough and tumble league. Now, where this thing gets absolutely bananas is when you start making it into a race and culture war, and the people talking about it are not mentioning 99% of the time that she went back and tweeted white privilege. White privilege.
But instead of just accepting the ejection and moving on, Carrington went straight to her Threads account and posted white privilege, tagging the Indiana Fever directly underneath it. No further explanation at the time, just those two words sitting there for the entire internet to interpret however they wanted. And of course, everybody interpreted it the same way, because how else are you supposed to read that timing? She gets ejected for hitting a white player in the face, and within minutes, white privilege shows up on her page tagging that exact team. It doesn't take a genius to connect those dots, and pretty much the entire sports world connected them instantly.